Hey guys, this is Damien. I'm going to be starting a MechWarrior online skill tree guide. It's going to focus on a couple different things, but on the first video we're actually going to be focusing on broadly what is the skill tree, how does the skill tree work, what's the difference between clan and IS or the different weight classes, and then finally we're going to wrap up with what is the core build you should pretty much always go for. So, getting into it, we're not actually going to be in the MechWarrior game itself. I have a website out here that we're going to be looking at. It's kitland.gitlab.io. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but this website's really great. It doesn't have like as detailed and specific as it could get, like as granular. However, it has a really easy to use interface, and it allows you to place points without having prerequisites and some stuff like that. So you can kind of build your skill tree in reverse almost. So it's actually really nice, and I'll kind of show you what I mean here. If I wanted this laser duration node, for instance, and I know I want to get all the laser duration nodes, I can just select them, and then I can start working backwards to see what I need to take. So I'd be able to say, hey, what do I need for this laser duration node? Alright, well, I have to get this cooldown. Do I want velocity? No. So I go range. What do I have to get from here? I have to go cooldown. So now I've connected these two. Now I know that seems simple, but if you're really unfamiliar or with some of the trickier builds, like laser tend to be a little bit more straightforward, but this will help you plan your builds out a little bit quicker and easier without having to go through the user interface, which can be laggy sometimes in the game itself. So anyway, let's talk about first the difference between clan and inner sphere. So clan have always been kind of known for being stronger, so IS mechs have gotten quirks to balance that out a little bit, right? So it's no different with the skill tree. However, it's not quite as pronounced. I'm going to go ahead and go up here, and there's a little button here that can change it from IS to clan, and you're going to notice we're going to have some laser duration nodes change, as well as some cooldown nodes change. So when I change it to clan, it's going to go from 0.75 and 3.75 to 0.6 and 2.5, right? So you do lose a fair enough amount. It's very noticeable. It's not going to make it to where, oh my goodness, I'm a clan mech, I shouldn't even go in the firepower tree at all. You know, it's not that big a deal, but it is noticeable enough that IS mechs get some added bite. Now, another thing that we can go into, you'll see another little drop down here, is light, medium, heavy assault. These are just the general weight classes. Now, when we go into armor structure, you're going to notice clan versus IS, nothing changes in the tree between those two. This tree is based on weight. Now, it is based on weight per ton, not just a group. So for instance, a locust and a raven would still have different amounts, different percentages that they're working with. I'm going to go very heavily into detail on how the armor tree works and what's optimal for different builds. I have some spreadsheets and calculators that I've built that make it a little bit easier on me, where you can like plug in your quirks and put however much armor you're trimming, and it will still calculate whatever the best nodes are. That being said, this tree is pretty easy and pretty straightforward in general, but if you change this to like assault, you're going to notice a lot of these percentages are going to go down. Now that might seem counterintuitive, but the way it works is the lighter you are, the bigger a percentage bonus that you get. And that's because you have a much smaller base. So like a locust is going to have 20 armor, whereas a Kodiak would have 100 or 90 or something much higher. So the same percentages would be absolutely absurd. So it makes it to where assaults and heavies don't get absolutely insanely tanky, but light mechs can still get something back. So that's the main differences between the two trees and the weight classes, is just the armor tree and just the weapon tree. Nothing's really different with agility, jump jets. Just don't take those in general, I think. There very few situations you should take that. Mech operations is the same. Sensor is, I believe sensor is the same as well. And then you got your miscellaneous tree, which a lot of people consider a trap, but I don't. So anyway, I'm going to go through a few of the tools that this site has real quick. You can toggle visibility, so you're going to notice some things get darker and some things don't. Now, what got darker was anything that we haven't selected that is connected. So if I take this, that's going to light up. However, you notice this laser duration down here, even though we selected it, it's barely lit up. So if I connect them, they will light up. Whoosh. So that's pretty nice, just to kind of see how your tree is going, and like, oh, I could have taken this node out, when you don't have to deal with a visual clutter. Clear all nodes is going to clear all nodes in your current tree. So like if I selected, one each and I said clear all nodes, you see this one goes down to 0, but the armor structure is still there. Clear everything is going to clear all of them. So that's basically your reset. You're also going to be able to get permalinks. This only works if you've placed some points in. So now I can get a permalink, and I will forever be able to get back to this build. I've created quite a few pages for different purposes and different builds. A lot of these you can just mix and match together, regardless of clan or inner sphere. Some of the armor trees you might tweak a point or two, depending on quirks or some stuff like that, or what weight class you are. But for the most part, these are completely interchangeable. I can include these if you guys want them. So, you can just pause the video and look at them and see, oh, that looks like something maybe I'd want, or what have you. So getting on with it, let's go ahead and just build a straight up core build. Now you start with 91 points. However, you don't really have 91 decisions at all. I think everybody from a locust to a direwolf should have certain perks. So let's go ahead and go into armor structure. Now this tree is very straightforward. A lot of people have already noticed this. You can do this really efficient build where you get 8 armor nodes. And that's as efficient as you can make it. That's what I would call an 8-1 build. 8 armor, 1 skeletal. You can also grab these two. Now, these two can provide pretty decent benefits to some builds. So, I'm not exactly sure. I've looked at it before. I think it's a 30 tonner, but I'm not sure on that number. Possibly a 50 tonner. Only gets 1 structure if you only take 1 skeletal density. If you take 2, it jumps up pretty decently, and if you take another one, it jumps up even more. So sometimes you're going to want to take a few extra skeletals just to pad your number. Now, structure's not as important as armor. Most people already know that, and if you need an explanation of that, we can kind of go over that in the detailed armor structure video I'm going to be making. But this is the absolute core of your build. You're only going to want to extend to 8-3. I wouldn't recommend going further unless you just absolutely don't care about firepower or something, which is weird, but maybe you're like a 9 machine gun build or something. I don't know. So let's go to agility. This is the just super important. Since they removed acceleration and deceleration from engines, you need this. Now, you do get an anchor turn, but that's still a good node. So this is absolutely mandatory for almost any mech, from 20 tonners to 100 tonners. You need acceleration and deceleration all the time. For every build, every mech, doesn't matter, you want this. This is non-negotiable. Like armor structure, maybe you're like, I'm a locust, it doesn't matter anyway, I'm going to get 1 shot. Fine, you do you, take points out, whatever. Agility, keep these. Keep them always. The next one we're going to look at is sensor systems. Now, this tree is a little bit debatable on 2 different points. Some people don't like this tree at all. That's fine. I think you should use it on 95% of mechs. Only on the builds where you are completely constricted of points. You just don't have a single another point to squeeze out. Then you can maybe do something else. But for the most part, you're going to be using this build. And the second piece that's in contention is a lot of people don't think seismic sensor is worth it. A wall hack for 100 meters for 1 point is worth it. I don't know what your argument is, but it's probably bad. This is great pretty much no matter what your build is. Like, the only thing I could think of is something to the effect of like a locust or a raven or something where you're always going to be wanting to run, so you don't stand still for that seismic sensor bonus, because you have to be standing still to get it. But I've used it countless times even on those. A lot of the time when you're behind enemy lines and you're not sure if you're going to be seen or not, it's really nice to just stand still and see if they're coming at you or not. So I would say always, always, always get that. So that's your core build, though. Now, if you look up here, that's 37 points. 37 points for your core. That's over a third. Now, just to be a little bit more beginner-friendly, I guess you'd say, I wouldn't begin in this tree. I would say probably your best bet for your trees are going to be agility or armor structure. I would start with agility just because it has fewer points to get into. So I would start with agility, climb down here, grab all these. And this is, if you're a level 1, or you only have like one skill point, where does it go? Start in the agility tree, go back to armor structure, grab all these. Once you're quicker, once you're tankier, then you get your information. This tree is more, I don't want to say for veterans, but a lot of these nodes have like smaller bonuses than you would think, but they're very important. One of them being radar deprivation. As long as you get one of these points, you can tell when someone locks onto you because your cockpit will flash. That is more valuable than almost anything. As a single node, that's probably the most valuable thing in the game. So, in any case, that's your core builds. We talked about the differences between clan and IS and the differences between light, medium, and heavies. I do have a number of skill tree builds that I can make available if you guys want them. I will be making the site available underneath in the comments. I don't run the site. I didn't build the site. Whoever did, good job. I am going to provide a permalink for this build, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks.